Is Nike ruining MLB jerseys? Do males follow astrology just like girls do? And how do you start the first episode of a podcast? All of this coming up on Alternative Jargon. Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of my podcast. I'm calling this little thing Alternative Jargon. I'm your host, David Ronan. So here I am. This is a podcast. Podcasts have really blown up. I'm a little bit late to the game, I think. Only like 10 years late. But we'll see what we can do here. So, I don't really know how to start a podcast. How do you start the first episode of a podcast? It's a really good question. So if you're watching this, you're probably one of three things. One, you know me from school. Two, you don't know me from school. We'll probably just go with two things there. There's one of two ways you're watching this. You either know me from school or I don't know why you're here. But, so you wouldn't believe the amount of names in the podcast game that are already taken. If you look up two words followed by the word podcast, there is like a 95% chance that it's already taken. So we're calling this little thing Alternative Jargon. I originally wanted to do something with sports, but I didn't want to name it something like sports because I don't want to be tied down to just talking about sports. I think that would get a little old and boring, and there's enough of those shows out there already. So I went with kind of a neutral name. So we'll see what we can do with it. So my plan for this show, here's the thing. I'm in college. I just finished freshman year, and I'm a media and journalism student, basically the same thing as like communications or mass communications. So I'd like to work in that industry someday, right? And it's one of those ones where if you graduate with just the piece of paper and no experience, you're kind of screwed. So any experience that I get is good, and this will be a fun little hobby and maybe something I can add to my resume someday. So I'm just doing it, man. I'm just doing it. But what are the meat and potatoes of this podcast going to be? You may have heard it in the intro. So maybe we should just hop into that. So the first thing I wanted to talk about today was actually baseball jerseys. Probably be a little bit of sports, a little bit of whatever else in this show for right now. But baseball jerseys. So brief history lesson. In 2017, right, the NBA teamed up with Nike, and Nike became the official jersey of the NBA. They were formerly Adidas. They used to be Adidas, and then I guess that ended and they went with Nike. So since 2017, when Nike took over the NBA, basketball jerseys have gotten really crazy. Like the first year, the 17-18 season, it wasn't too crazy. I think each team got one or two new alternates that were pretty cool. But most of them are still pretty standard and like same to the way that they used to be. But in recent years, the NBA, if you watch basketball casually, if you're hardcore, the jerseys have gotten absolutely crazy. Now, I don't know what everyone else's take on this. I haven't really talked to about it with too many other people, but some of the jerseys I think are awesome. Like the ones that the Suns used throughout the playoffs. I haven't watched a lot of basketball recently, honestly, but I have watched a few of the Suns games, and like their black ones were pretty sweet. And actually the NBA does like special courts now too. Like every team has like 2 or 3 courts now, which is pretty crazy. Now for basketball, I'm not a huge fan of the jerseys that are just completely void of any of the team's original colors. Like I know the Mavericks have a gold and white jersey or something like that, and I understand there's probably like a story behind that. It's like, Nike's all about, for the culture of the city and stuff. That's cool, but I think you have to draw a line somewhere where it's like, okay, the Mavericks have always been blue and white, and they used to have green too. So what are we doing with gold? I don't know. It seems like the NBA has gotten to a point where like every team just kind of has a whole rainbow of jerseys, which I don't know if I'm a fan of. You turn on the TV and you're watching, the Lakers and the Celtics. One team's wearing like blue and the other team's wearing red or something. It's pretty crazy. So, but for basketball, I think if there was any sport for that to happen, basketball would be the best. The NBA has sort of long been on the cutting edge, more progressive style of that type of league. Basketball itself is a very progressive sport, and I'm not talking political, I'm talking like if there was any league to go crazy with jerseys and courts, it would be the NBA, and I think that sort of fits their brand. But what this has to do with MLB jerseys, so actually last year in 2020 was the first year that Nike took over Major League Baseball jerseys. I think it used to be Majestic brand before. So yeah, Nike's sort of establishing a bit of a monopoly. They got the NFL too with their jerseys. I'm not sure about the NHL. I don't watch hockey. I don't know what their jerseys are. I'm gonna look that up real quick. So NHL is Adidas, it looks like. That's what Google tells me. So 3 out of the 4 major American sports is Nike, which I don't really care as long as I do a good job. But let's talk about baseball jerseys. So the first thing Nike did last year with the new MLB jerseys was they put the swoosh on the jerseys. I don't really care so much about that. I know a lot of fans of teams with more classic jerseys like the Yankees and I think Cubs fans. I've seen a few people last year when they put the swoosh on the jersey, they really flipped out. I don't care too much about the swoosh. It's whatever. I don't really care if it's there or not. But this year, Major League Baseball and Nike have teamed up to, they're releasing new jerseys called MLB City Connect series. So, and these jerseys are a little bit crazier. Now, I love cool jerseys. Cool jerseys are awesome. If they can spice up the game and be cool, that's great. But I think baseball is one of those sports that's sort of still unique, and it's a very traditional, old school sport. You wear whites at home, you wear grays on the road. You got maybe 1 or 2 other alternates in there, unless you're the New York Yankees, which I don't even mind that. They're the Yankees. I'm a Phillies fan, but the Yankees are the Yankees. A lot of people hate the Yankees. A lot of people love the Yankees, but I think you have to recognize the Yankees' historical value to the sport of baseball. The Yankees are baseball. The Yankees are America, in a sense. So, but I do like sort of the style of MLB jerseys, how they're sort of very classic, very clean, elegant, and traditional. So I don't really know how to feel about these new Nike jerseys. I'll put some pictures up here, but some of them are really just off the deep end a little bit. You've got a Boston Red Sox jersey, which that's a very classic team. You could argue maybe up there with the Yankees, classic. They have a yellow and blue jersey now, which, hey, I'm not from Boston. Maybe that means something. The Marlins have a new, blood red and teal going on. The White Sox got the South Side. The Cubs have a Wrigleyville, dark blue and light blue on. And the Diamondbacks have this weird, cream color with green. I mean, I don't know where that's coming from. Those colors have never been anywhere near the Diamondbacks. And then the Giants one is a little bit closer to Giants. It's just white with orange. And it's got the bridge on the sleeves. That's kind of cool. But look, a few crazy jerseys doesn't bother me. But with the NBA, what Nike did with the NBA and their jerseys, they really just went off the deep end with them. I think teams now have too many alternates in the NBA. and they're getting new ones every year. I think one of the cool things about jerseys in sports is that if you look back at a particular era of jersey of a team, like if you look back at a jersey of the Lakers in the early 2000s, late 90s, whatever, you think of Kobe and Shaq, and there's just a feeling that comes over you, right? If you look at, old 49ers uniforms, you think of Jerry Rice, you think of Joe Montana. So I think it's one of the cooler things about sticking to a singular jersey for maybe 10 years at a time before updating it a little bit is that you can really feel those emotions attached to those older jerseys like that. And so whenever you are changing a jersey every year, I mean, the NBA has literally, like every team in the NBA, they have their home and roads classics, which are pretty much true to the same as they have been for many years. But their alternates are changing like every year, and they're getting new ones like halfway through the year and all this crazy stuff. So my only concern is that you have all these cool jerseys, and Nike's probably making huge sales on them, or DHgate, all the fake ones. But my concern is that there's too many, and there's no emotion attached to any of them. And I just don't want to see that happen with Major League Baseball, where jerseys are even more classic, because I don't really want to see that ruined. That's just my take on it, though. It's sports jerseys. It's not the end of the world. That's just what I think about it. So that's just a little sports topic for today. But I do have another thing I want to talk about for the second half of this show. Maybe a little bit more fun, depending on what your tastes are. So we all know about astrology. I don't know what your take on it is. So there are people, and this is mostly a girl thing. I think that's kind of known. It's mostly a girl thing, astrology. So astrology, it's cute. You look up your birthday. Oh, what sign am I? And then you read your little fortune cookie thing, right? I think, innocent. But some people take it a little bit more hardcore. Some people are really into it. Some people will blame things that happen to them on their astrological sign. And some people like to collect rocks and lay with rocks sitting on them for healing purposes, right? Now, if somebody, look, I don't really care. I'm just observing. Don't come at me. But if somebody told me they like to collect crystals and then, perform rituals with them, my reaction would probably be like this. I don't think I'd have a reaction. My reaction is no reaction. Now, that's mostly a girl thing, right? That's mostly a female thing. But I think I've stumbled upon the male version, or there are multiple male versions. So my TikTok For You page is a modern marvel. It's the eighth wonder of the world. I love it. I will like posts and interact with them just because they're so outrageous that I want to keep seeing the same stuff. If you don't have TikTok, you can tune away. No, I'm just kidding. But recently I've been on Sigma, Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, Omega male TikTok. Okay? So, a few weeks ago, before I knew anything about this, I had no thoughts of it. But now, every day of my life, when I wake up and I'm about to do an action, when I'm about to say, do I want a banana or a protein bar for breakfast? I have to think, would a Sigma male do this? Is a banana like a Delta male snack? Snack? Did I say smack? I don't know. But I've been having to really sit back and think about this, As a Alpha, Sigma, Beta, Delta, Gamma, Omega male, am I doing everything right? Okay. Are 25-pound dumbbells too light to be a true Sigma? So we all know about alpha male. We all know about beta male. But what if I told you there are like 5 more archetypes of males out there? So the Sigma male is the most popular right now. Everyone wants to be a Sigma. Everyone wants to be like Keanu Reeves. Are you a true Sigma? So a Sigma male, from what I've heard, now I am not a true, I'm not really an ambassador of the Sigma male movement. I'm more of just an observer, a commentator, I guess you could say. But a Sigma male is higher on the pyramid than an alpha. I'll put it up on screen here. A Sigma male is above the alpha. We thought the alpha was the top of the chain, but there's always a bigger fish. There's always a loner wolf, okay? The Sigma male is the top of the food chain. You just didn't know it. So the Sigma is more underground. He doesn't have to announce his dominating presence. He just has to be himself. He is the Sigma. And no one will stand in the Sigma's way, okay? So, personally, I'd like to think of myself as a Sigma, okay? I don't want to be an alpha, definitely not a beta, and if you even call me an omega, it's over. We're done. We're done. I am a Sigma male. At least I hope so. So, if I could get somebody from this movement to really confirm that I'm a Sigma, that'd be great. On the more serious side, I love to make jokes about this stuff. It is like the funniest material I've seen, okay? There is an entire side of TikTok. Now, I think they're joking. And if they're joking, it's the greatest joke. It's the greatest form of satire I've ever seen in my life. There's an entire side of TikTok that will post interactions between people in popular pop culture movies, labeling one as a Sigma, one as an alpha, maybe one's a beta or a delta. They'll label these people in certain situations and they'll explain how they're interacting and what makes them a Sigma in that environment, right? So, and it usually is accompanied by this song. I'm going to play the song. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted. I'm going to play it under my speaking. Hopefully no copyright infringement in the first episode. But I think it is some of the greatest content I've ever seen. My favorite clips, if you've ever seen the movie American Psycho, they'll play Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. They'll put a clip of him walking with his headphones on with this song in the background and explain how he's a true Sigma male. It's the greatest thing ever. And quite frankly, if I could meet another Sigma, I don't think I've met another Sigma yet, but if I could meet one, that'd be great. I think I know some alphas. I know a couple of delta males. I think my one buddy's a gamma, but I'd love to meet another Sigma. I want to meet somebody else who's at the top of the food chain, right? So if you're a Sigma, I'd love if you'd reach out. We can get something together. If you're a lambda male or a zeta, please tune away. You're not even worth the time. So yeah, that is the first male astrology, which I gotta say, man, if this is what girls are into, maybe I'm into it, bro. Girls can have their Aquariuses and what's another one? Scorpio. They can have that. Guys can have the Sigma and the Delta and the Alpha, and I think we've achieved world peace, okay? Hopefully, if you got upset about my comments on astrology, you didn't tune away and you listened to the rest, because I think I'm coming around for this stuff. But now this is more... I think a lot of this the Sigma stuff is really just a big joke, which makes it even better. But there also is the stock market. Let's talk about the stock market. Let's talk about crypto. I think that's in the same boat as this, really. Alphas bought Dogecoin. Sigmas sat out, okay? Alphas have paper hands, right? Alphas sell early. Sigmas stay in the market. They have diamond hands, okay? They don't let go. Their hands are made of diamond. They went to Jared and they bought their hands there. They were crafted in a diamond forge, if that's even a thing. Okay? So Sigma males probably have the best portfolio on Robinhood, and they probably bought GameStop. Now, Delta males, I don't think so. I think Delta males probably just follow Dave Portnoy and they think that's the end of it. No. So, yeah, I mean, this is some of the greatest content. I have been observing for so long that I really just wanted to include this in the first show. I've been observing the stock market, Sigma, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Omega male movement for so long now that I thought I'd hop in and put in my 2 cents. So I think it's amazing, and it's some of the best jokes ever. Okay, I'm a little bit behind on it, but I've been trying to set this podcast up for a while, so maybe the future episodes will be a little bit more up to date. Okay, I can talk about the news cycle like everyone else, but this is not going to be a political show. Okay, now I could make it a political show, and I could get so many views. Okay, all you have to do, right, to get views on a podcast is probably just to make it political. That's with anything, right? Maybe. But I'm not doing that. There's too much out there already. You know, if I wanted to sell out, I could probably just be political. Because I'll get a donor from somebody, right? Either, there's one of two scenarios, okay? If I go Republican, then Mitch McConnell hits me up and he says, talk about this on the show and I'll drop you a bag. If I go Democrat, Nancy Pelosi hits me up and she says, talk about this, and I make a bag. It's really a win-win, okay? And if I do make a political joke here and there, I'll always counter it with another person or the other party. So if I say, well, today really sucked, because I guess it's just another day in Biden's America, I'll probably just counter it with, I don't know, let me think of one. I'll just say January 6th and move on. I think that's fair. And, okay, I just insulted Democrats, I insulted Republicans. Independents. Don't win elections. There you go. Everyone's offended. Everyone's tuned away. So, here we are. I don't really have too much else to talk about. We're like 20-something minutes in. I think that's a good place to end. I need some chapstick. So, I think that's where we'll leave it for today. Thank you to everybody who watched, for real. No more jokes. The jokes are over. Thanks for watching or listening, wherever you're listening. If you have any feedback for this first episode, you probably know me. You probably saw this on my story or something. So give me some feedback. Give me something to talk about. I'm really excited to do this podcast. It's just a chill little hobby, and I'm super excited for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and this has been the first ever episode of Alternative Jargon. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.